Thank you very much. I'd now like to introduce Mark Eddington. Mark Eddington is in charge of grant management at the Global Fund. It's a newly restructured division, which is now larger, and he's overseeing all aspects of grant management, including now the local fund agency, as well as the CCM function. So he's essentially the guy overseeing the most important thing at the Global Fund. Mark comes to the Global Fund from Save the Children, where he was in charge of the international division, and that oversaw $340 million portfolio and over 6,000 people. So we're very, very pleased to have his deep experience managing this change in this new direction at the Global Fund.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you, Anne, for the nice introduction, as always. It's great to be back in my adopted home city of Washington, D.C., as I lived here for about 10 years and still have a house here, actually. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting the Global Fund to be here today. GMS is one of our key strategic partners, working with PRs and CCMs. I think most of you are aware that the Global Fund relies heavily on our technical partners for technical assistance, as we have very limited in-house technical functions, and that was a deliberate part of the original Global Fund model. So, what we get from GMS is absolutely critical. I'm really looking forward to see and hear about the results of the different sessions today, in particular the session on results, which I think is really one of the first times that we're exploring the link and effects between technical support and portfolio performance. I know that from talking to Catherine that some of the early results are extremely encouraging, and some are probably a little unexpected in the way that they confirm the effectiveness of the Global Fund model of country ownership and performance-based funding. And actually, just earlier in the week, it's Friday today, right? I think on Tuesday and Wednesday, I was in Haiti with Ambassador Gooseby from PEPFAR, and we did a joint visit together, which was great. Actually, I think when the Global Fund and PEPFAR can sit with the Minister of Health and really have those strategic discussions. It's extremely powerful, but one of the most impressive things about Haiti was the reformed CCM, which I gather has been the recipient of GMS technical assistance. The Haiti CCM used to be described as dysfunctional, which was probably polite, and I think it is probably now one of the most functional CCMs that I have seen. It's probably in the top 10%. It's now chaired by the First Lady of Haiti, who is extremely committed and involved in the fight against the 3 diseases. It has some impressive people on it, and a whole spectrum of people, from faith-based organizations to other NGOs to the media representatives. And I met with the CCM on Wednesday, and a couple of things impressed me. The first was that they were taking their oversight function extremely seriously, and they were actually very demanding of the information that they felt they needed in order to exercise that oversight function, which was impressive. And the second was that they really wanted to co-own the national strategy, national strategies for HIV/AIDS, TB, and malaria with the Ministry of Health. They wanted to have input into those strategies. They wanted to have input into how PEPFAR and the Global Fund were investing our funds together with the Ministry of Health to combat the 3 diseases. And it was a very impressive group of people. And as I say, given from where it's come, it was even more impressive. I guess the only bad thing, Catherine, is that now my expectations are so much higher for all other CCMs. But anyway, beyond the results that I think GMS will show us today, I think there's also some interesting stories on recurring technical challenges, such as supporting grant signature negotiations for complex multi-partner grants and building capacity for procurement and supply chain management. But I think probably the overarching story today is how GMS responds to the evolving global fund architecture. And I think all of you in this room know that we are constantly evolving, sometimes well and sometimes more complicated, by inventing new support methodologies on the fly. And it's more than just the capacity of GMS over the years to get into countries fast. It's also about how I think they've been able to rapidly adopt and support new policies and procedures, and that's, I think, part of what has made them successful. I think you're all aware that the Global Fund is in the midst of reform, and at the International AIDS Conference in a few weeks, I think we'll have some sessions on that. I think probably the best way to describe the reform is it's sort of like being in the middle of an express train moving at top speed. We've gone through some restructuring. We have changed a number of people. We are going through an overhaul of the complete grant management cycle from the moment when a country conceives of a program to fight the 3 diseases to the point of grant closure, figuring out how countries can get money in a more predictable way, how the success rate of proposals can get from about 40% in HIV to closer to 100%, how that can be more iterative, how the money can be invested far more strategically towards high-impact interventions, how we can have a better risk and assurance web, so to speak, and how we can improve our grant management processes, streamlining where we can and making them much more targeted towards the real risks in terms of implementing these programs in countries. So that there is a big reform process going on. And we want to reposition ourselves as the premier global manager of grants to fight the 3 diseases, HIV, AIDS, TB, and malaria. Our portfolio of grants will obviously continue to fund essential life-saving interventions in countries that have critical needs to combat the 3 diseases. But often these are countries that are struggling to build strong health systems, they're struggling with capacity, and they struggle to improve good governance in their institutions and processes. And I think the US government's model, which other countries are now adopting, and Pablo spoke to that, the so-called 5%, the allocation for technical assistance, is really critical in strengthening the processes that increase the effectiveness and impact of global fund grants. I look forward in particular to hearing directly from GMS colleagues today about the outcomes and impacts of their rapid response and urgent interventions. Because from what I've heard and from my own colleagues at the Global Fund and from a number of PRs as I've gone out and visited countries, the work of the GMS teams has been consistently effective, productive, and rapid. And my conclusion is that the 5% has really paid off in terms of better programs on the ground and better results on the ground for the people that need it. So on behalf of the Global Fund, I'd like to thank firstly the US government for their support of the Global Fund. The US government is the largest donor to the Global Fund. I was up on the Hill yesterday in the midst of Obamacare decisions and meeting with appropriations committees in both houses and both sides of the aisle. And I think there really is a genuinely strong support for the Global Fund and for the mission of the Global Fund. And we absolutely hope that will continue. It's needed. There's much to do out there in terms of combating the 3 diseases. And also the decision of the US government to finance for technical support through the 5% and GMS. So we hope that this will continue. We are looking forward to hearing the news for the second phase of GMS. I'm no doubt Catherine is looking forward to that news too. But let me finish by wishing you an interesting and really productive end of project conference, and thanking everybody in the room for your role in terms of fighting the 3 diseases. So thank you. I hope we have a great day, and I think there's a video coming.
Thank you, Mark. He's underestimating the change that he is overseeing right now. He appears calm and settled, but he's overseeing an internal tsunami, and we are all very, very pleased with the direction that you're taking it, and you have us as your supporter.